Before we get started, I wanted to let everybody know that I have a new book that is available on Kindle, and it is called Recommended Reading for the True Conservative. 50 pages long, and if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. Other than that, it's $3.99. So again, that is Recommended Reading for the True Conservative. And now, on with the podcast.
Never get girls. Had a blind date last week, didn't work out either, you know. I mean, I've seen fat girls. This girl was ridiculous.
Fat, huh?
She was so fat, when she went jogging, she left a trail of potholes. I mean, she was
Fat girl, yeah.
fat girl. Well, when she graduated high school, her picture was continuing on the next page.
I didn't know that.
She was a fat girl.
That's a large girl, big girl.
This girl was fat and ugly. Who was she?
And ugly, too,
Ooh,
huh?
ugly, ooh. How ugly? She was so ugly. I mean, she goes to the bank, they turn off the cameras. I mean, this girl was an ugly girl. bent down to pet her cat, it was the hair in her leg. So an ugly. I don't lie to you, Johnny. Well, I took her to the top of the Empire State Building. Airplanes started to attack her. I mean, this girl was an ugly girl.
Ugly girl.
Good morning. It's Tuesday, Trump Tuesday, May the 5th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and President Trump. All that and more when I get back. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. Now, Varney and Company.
Varney and Company is up right now. And Stuart Varney, sir, good morning.
And good morning to you, Cheryl. Good morning, everyone. There is news on the Iran war. The Iranians have fired on vessels the U.S. was escorting through the strait. Knock it off, says President Trump. We can blow you off the face of the earth, he says. Earlier this morning, Secretary Hegseth said CENTCOM has been in contact with ships and their insurers in the Gulf. Hundreds are lining up to pass through a secure passage out of the Gulf. All right, here's the market's response. The price of oil coming in at $103 a barrel. It's down $3. Gas reaching $4.48 a gallon. That's getting up there. And in California, you pay $6.13 for a gallon of regular. As for diesel, very important in the manufacturing process, farmers especially, $5.65 for diesel. Stocks rallying after yesterday's losses. The Dow looking for a gain of about 170. The Nasdaq up maybe 200 points. Look at Palantir, a stellar earnings report and a very strong forecast. Alex Karp says he's planning to grow sales 100% next year. Initial reaction, Palantir is down in pre-market action. Look at Bitcoin rallying to the $80,000 level. Right now you're at 81.3. The 10-year Treasury yields above 440. You're now looking at 442. The 2-year is actually moving pretty close to 4%, 394. On the show today, President Trump says the economy is booming. However, an ABC poll shows his approval level plummeting. The Washington Post reports that White House aides have been warned they may have to work with Democrats after the midterms. The Met Gala last night turned into a giant anti-Jeff Bezos protest. He was a sponsor of the event. Protesters rushed the red carpet. Bottles of what looked like urine were left at the event. The tax-the-rich crowd were out in force. Mayor Mandani refused to attend. We're going to show you what looks like a throwback to the good old days of the Green New Deal. Amsterdam has banned billboards that advertise meat or fossil fuels. No burgers, no airlines, no SUVs. Instead, there are ads for concerts and museums. We cover it all on this Tuesday, May 5th, 2026.
And that was Varney and Company, Nonprofit News Now. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now from an X account called Prisca.
Somalians ain't our people. They told them Somalians don't fuck with us when they came up here. That's why they don't fuck with us. And we don't fuck with them. You notice we ain't trying to help them cocksuckers. And then look at all the money that they stole. Look at all that $9 billion. And then put nothing in the community. Fuck them Somalians. It's just like George Floyd. His stupid ass family got $20 million and they didn't even build a community in the city. They just left with the money. Fuck George Floyd too. Put all that shit on to whatever you filming. Put that shit out there because that's how it go.
And that was from Prisca. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now from the X account called Tony.
The type of hate that you have for MAGA, the type of hate that you have for Trump, it's not from God. God does not instill hate. God does not put hate in your heart. That type of hate only comes from Satan. See, I know you guys like to say that Trump supporters are hateful, but the truth is, we just push the word of God. Prior to all this political stuff with Obama and onward, we could care less about what anybody else did in their lives. We handled our own business, and that was good enough. But at some point, y'all decided that whatever things that you were doing in your own personal lives as the minority, you wanted to enforce it in our laws. This then started to affect our children. It started to affect our jobs. It started to affect America. Because now you're forcing your ways upon us because you want to be seen. When you had everything you needed to just do what you needed to do.
And that was from the account called Tony. Back in a minute.
When you start doing anything, the first step, you're excited. You're pumped up. You're going to be consumed with that thing you're doing. But a week into it, a month into it, a year into it, 5 years into it, many people begin to lose that fire. They get exhausted. They don't care anymore. They stop trying.
So they stop the daily tasks to move toward the goal, and they settle. They settle for, I guess it wasn't meant to be. They settle for, I guess I didn't want to. They settle for the easy road. They settle for mediocrity. They give up and they let it go. But I'm saying, no, you cannot be like that. You can't allow your dreams and goals to slip by like that. You must stay focused. Don't allow anything to pull you off your game plan.
if you don't finally get your focus in check, if you keep wandering around distracted, if you keep looking at every new thing that pops up in your feed, if you keep trying every single new opportunity, if you keep saying yes to everything, if you keep listening to everybody's complaints, if you keep doing whatever they ask you to do, at some point, you will lose your life.
You must reclaim your attention and limit it down to the very few things you care about the most. Cut off anything else that doesn't support you.
Embed that long-term goal in your mind. Burn it into your soul. Think about it. Write about it. Talk about it. Hang it up on your wall. But most importantly, do something about it every single day. Start working a plan to get where you want to go and minimize everything else. Getting very clear on the mission and working the plan. Everything else, guess what it gets? A no. You tune out every voice and noise outside of yourself. And you lock your focus on this one thing. And you give it everything you've got.
What is it that you need to immediately stop doing in your life to take back control of your time? Is it social media? Is it watching 7 seasons of a show every week? And what do you need to start doing? What do you need to start doing every day, every week, every month, every year to be the best version of you?
Because whatever you spend your time on is what determines the outcomes of your life. Disciplining yourself buys you freedom to do what you want. Sacrifice leads and gains follow. Don't bother looking for any gains when you haven't made sacrifices.
You gotta give stuff up in order to go up. So the question is, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to skip the parties, cut out the socializing, pass on doing the cool thing on the weekend with your friends?
Because that's what it's gonna take. It's gonna take you dedicating every single fucking moment, every single ounce of energy and effort you have to pull it off. Forget about balance. You have to be obsessed with the thing you want and don't allow anything to pull you away from it. If you really want to win, pack your calendar because everything is based off of activity. The more you execute, the more results you will see. You break away from the pack by doing more than other people are willing to. It's impossible for you to lose if you pack your calendar with tasks to be done. Every single fucking day of the month, morning till night. You do that year after year after year, and you will undoubtedly become one of the greatest in whatever the fuck you want to do. A champion focuses only on the goal. They don't allow anything else into their mind that won't help them win. And so if you want to be a winner, what you're focusing on throughout the course of the day has to change. What you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, the conversations you're having. You must now be fully focused on your dreams and your goals. And it all starts with what you're doing today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. When you're great, you don't just focus on a year. When you're great, you don't just focus on a month. When you're great, you don't just focus on a week. You focus on the 24 hours in front of you and you work relentlessly to nail it.
And that was motivating. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little bit of meditation. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now from an X account called Thomas Sowell Quotes.
And if black lives truly matter, then, as I said to him, to his face, then something will be done about the black-on-black crime, about abortion, about the fatherless homes, the crime that we commit, etc., etc. If our lives mattered, we would never vote Democrat.
And that was Thomas Sowell Quotes. Back in a minute. Thank you. And one more from Thomas Sowell Quotes.
Nothing brings out the inner Klansman of a white liberal faster than a black person who refuses to obey. Every time I log into social media, I'm seeing a new video from white liberals, especially white liberal women, questioning the purity and validity of black people, calling them traitors and sellouts and even the N-word, because they are no longer subscribing to the orthodoxy of the political left. And I think that's interesting to see that they have become so confident and so overt in their anti-black racism, which has always presented itself as a perceived ownership over black people. Now, there are a lot of us who have been saying this for the longest amount of time, even while voting Democrat, that the way that white liberals engage with black people is usually through a lens of dictatorship, telling you what you're supposed to believe, what your politics are supposed to be, how dangerous your men and your families are. And at the end of the day, when you look at most of these social justice movements, because I don't know why they're called social justice now and it's no longer civil rights, right? But if you look behind most of these movements, they tend to be funded and supported by white liberals. The same white liberals who tell black women that black men are the problem. The same white liberal women who tell black women that abortion is the number one civil rights freedom issue of the day. When at the same time, they go home to their husbands and their children, often living the same circumstances that they're telling you that you should not have access to. Black people are now hip to the scam of the political left. And no matter how unhinged you become or how much racist rhetoric you espouse, it's too late. You're not going to be able to shame black people into compliance. You're not going to be able to disrespect them to the point where they're so hurt by your lack of approval that they're going to start advocating for their own replacement. And, you know, there's nothing more disrespectful to black people than the soft bigotry, but I would call the hard bigotry of your low expectations. And it's those same low expectations that have kept our community stagnant in this country for decades.
And that was from Thomas Sowell Quotes. Back in a minute. Half of the Mossad episode that I started on Saturday.
Discover the incident got logged in French counterintelligence files. A formal recommendation to abort the operation was raised at a meeting in Tel Aviv, warning that French intelligence was becoming suspicious. The Navy overrode the recommendation. They'd come too far, risked too much, invested too many resources to back out over concern that the French might be catching on. The calculation was brutal. Even if French intelligence suspected something, they wouldn't act without proof. And by the time they had proof, it would be too late. French counterintelligence did produce an assessment, but it reached exactly the wrong conclusion. The analyst wrote that while Israeli activity in Cherbourg showed some anomalies, the likelihood of a major operation was low because Israelis would not risk humiliating France publicly. The political cost would be too high, the diplomatic damage too severe, the long-term consequences too destructive. No rational actor would burn a relationship with a major European power over 5 patrol boats. That assessment, that reasonable, logical, entirely defensible assessment, became the operation's single greatest asset. French officials believed Israel wouldn't dare, so they didn't prepare for the possibility that Israel absolutely would dare. Throughout December, final preparations accelerated. The boats needed enough fuel to reach Israel without relying on friendly ports, 3,000 miles through potentially hostile waters. Normal refueling patterns wouldn't provide that range, so extra fuel had to be loaded without arousing suspicion. Provisions, spare parts, navigation equipment, and emergency supplies had to be stocked aboard. Every item had to be justified as normal operational requirements for boats supposedly heading to Norwegian oil fields. Weather forecasting became critical. The boats needed sea conditions survivable enough to make the journey, but rough enough that French authorities wouldn't be suspicious about civilian vessels venturing out. Too calm, and the departure would look strange. Too rough, and the boats might actually sink. The timing question required answering three parameters simultaneously. When would port supervision be minimal? Political attention focused elsewhere, and weather conditions acceptable? The answer was obvious. Christmas Eve, when French bureaucracy would be running on skeleton staffing. Senior officials would be with their families, and no one would be paying attention to routine vessel movements in a commercial harbor. December 24th was selected as the departure date. Initial planning set the departure time for 8:30 in the evening, after most French officials had left for holiday celebrations, but before weather conditions deteriorated further. A force 9 gale was building in the English Channel, winds approaching 60 miles per hour, waves reaching 20 feet, conditions that would send large freighters running for shelter. For the small missile boats, it would be harrowing, possibly deadly, but it would also provide cover in chaos that might prevent French interception, even if the alarm was raised quickly. Then, on December 16th, something happened that nearly destroyed everything. A British journalist named Anthony Mann was in Cherbourg covering the launch of the French nuclear submarine Le Terrible, a major naval event attended by French Premier Michel Debré and national media. Mann was more curious than other journalists. He wandered the harbor, taking notes, and noticed the 5 Israeli boats, or rather the boats that used to be Israeli and were now supposedly owned by Starboat. Something about the situation made his instincts fire. He called the Israeli embassy in Paris, and the press attaché, filling in for someone on vacation, made a critical mistake. He gave Mann a quote that was too defensive, too specific, too revealing. Mann understood immediately that something unusual was happening. He cabled his newspaper, the Daily Telegraph, with a story that ran under the headline, "Israel constructs boats in Cherbourg, but their future is uncertain. It is possible that part of the crew returns to Israel at Christmas." The story was speculative, not definitive, but it put the boats back in public attention at the worst possible moment. If French intelligence read that story carefully and decided to investigate, if harbor authorities increased surveillance, if any official decided the situation warranted extra scrutiny, the operation would be exposed before it started. Liman made the call to proceed anyway. They were out of time and out of options. Either the boats left on Christmas Eve, or they'd be trapped in Cherbourg permanently once French authorities realized what Starboat actually represented. On December 24th, crews made final preparations while trying to appear routine and unhurried. French dock workers heading to midnight mass noticed Israeli sailors stowing extra supplies aboard the boats, and some of the sailors, grinning broadly, explained they were leaving to celebrate Christmas in Israel. It was said as a joke, a casual comment, and the French dock workers laughed and wished them well without understanding they'd just been told the literal truth. At 22:30 hours, 10:30 at night, final fueling was completed. All 80 crew members were aboard the 5 boats, crammed into quarters designed for much smaller crews, but no one complained. The weather forecast remained terrible. The gale was intensifying, not diminishing, and Commander Hadar Kimchi, who would lead the flotilla, received urgent coded messages from Tel Aviv, ordering him to depart immediately, despite the conditions. Kimchi made a command decision to wait. Sending the boats into a force 9 gale in darkness would risk capsizing and loss of all hands. He'd come this far by balancing boldness with calculation, and he wasn't going to gamble 5 boats and 80 lives on a desperate departure into suicidal seas. The boats would wait for the weather to improve, even if it meant additional hours in French waters, with the risk of discovery increasing every minute. At midnight, the meteorologist assigned to the operation picked up a BBC weather report, indicating the storm would begin dying down in approximately 2 hours. The winds were shifting, the worst of the gale was passing, and a window was opening. Kimchi gathered his captains around the radio in one of the boats. They listened to the forecast, checked their instruments, evaluated the risks. At 0230 hours, 2:30 in the morning on December 25th, Christmas Day, Kimchi gave the order, "We're sailing." The 5 boats cast off their moorings in single file, with no lights, no radio transmissions, nothing that could alert French harbor authorities or shore observers that anything unusual was happening. They moved slowly through Cherbourg Harbor, engines barely above idle, navigating by instruments and memory of the harbor layout they'd practiced dozens of times during their training runs. Admiral Lyman stood on the pier in the freezing rain, his diplomatic credentials useless now, his role in the operation complete. There was nothing more he could do except watch 5 dark shapes slip past the Fort de l'Est breakwater and disappear into towering waves and darkness. If interception was attempted in the next 4 hours, if French fighter jets were scrambled, if French Navy vessels were ordered to pursue, the outcome would be uncertain at best. The boats had 17 minutes to reach international waters, but even that might not be enough if France decided the political humiliation justified military action. The boats maintained radio silence as they crossed the Bay of Biscay, their crews fighting storm conditions that would have kept civilian vessels in port. 20-foot waves crashed over the bows, wind tore at the superstructures and the small missile boats, designed for Mediterranean operations, not Atlantic gales, pitched and rolled violently. Crew members were soaked, cold, exhausted, and seasick, but they maintained speed and heading because stopping or turning back wasn't an option that existed anymore. 64 hours after leaving Cherbourg, the flotilla reached Gibraltar and finally broke radio silence to confirm their position. They split up to prevent Soviet Mediterranean fleet units from boxing them in and forcing them toward an unfriendly port. Israeli naval vessels, possibly including submarines, had converged to serve as escorts. Off Sicily, tankers were waiting to refuel the boats for the final leg of the journey. Meanwhile, back in Cherbourg, French authorities remained completely unaware the boats were gone. Christmas morning passed. Port officials celebrated the holiday. Harbor masters didn't check the berths because there was no reason to check. The boats were civilian vessels, legally owned by a Norwegian company, supervised by Israeli crews who'd been approved by the Defense Ministry. Everything was normal until it suddenly wasn't. Everything was normal until it suddenly wasn't. 12 hours after the boats departed, a reporter visiting the harbor noticed that all 5 boats were missing from their berths. He immediately called the BBC, which ran the story before French authorities even knew there was a story to run. That's how the French government learned the boats had vanished, from a British news broadcast. The empty berths and the absence of any announcement that the embargo had been lifted caused immediate speculation that Israel had taken the boats. French television crews chartered planes and flew north over the North Sea toward Norway, where the boats were ostensibly headed. Other crews flew south over the Mediterranean, searching for the fugitive flotilla. Where were they? Had they sunk in the storm? Were they actually heading to Norway? Had Israel really just stolen 5 warships from a NATO ally's harbor on Christmas morning? Inside the French government, chaos and confusion replaced holiday celebrations. Who had authorized the departure? Was the sail to Starboat legitimate or a fraud? Which agency had failed to prevent this? Different ministries blamed each other. Customs said they'd only reviewed cargo. Naval authorities said they'd only reviewed hull specifications. Intelligence services claimed embargo enforcement was someone else's responsibility. No single agency accepted ownership of the failure because the operation had been designed specifically to slip through the gaps where no one agency had complete responsibility. Foreign Minister Maurice Schumann, the same official who'd praised the Starboat arrangement as a model transaction, expressed shock and warned Israeli officials of the gravest consequences if their involvement was confirmed. Defense Minister Michel Debré proposed deploying French Air Force aircraft to intercept the boats and force them to turn back. But the proposal went nowhere. Where exactly were the boats? International waters? Whose responsibility was pursuit? What if the boats refused to stop? Would France really open fire on vessels it had legally sold and risk the international incident that would follow? The French government discovered what Israeli planners had known from the beginning. Once the boats were gone, France's options were extremely limited. Political embarrassment could be contained. Diplomatic protests could be filed. Individual scapegoats could be punished. But military action against vessels in international waters carrying Israeli crews would escalate the situation far beyond what the boats were worth strategically to France. President Georges Pompidou chose containment over confrontation. 2 French generals, Louis Bonté and Bernard Cazelles, were indefinitely suspended pending investigation, serving as scapegoats for the bureaucratic failure that let the boats escape. Admiral Limon was ordered to leave France immediately, though he wasn't formally declared persona non grata. French-Israeli diplomatic relations were strained, but not severed, because Pompidou preferred to minimize the humiliation rather than amplify it through public retaliation. On December 31st, 1969, exactly 1 week after leaving Cherbourg, the 5 missile boats rendezvoused outside Haifa and made their way into port as hundreds of Israelis cheered from the docks and ships' sirens split the air. Prayers of thanksgiving were recited in synagogues, diners and restaurants toasted the crewmen and exchanged jokes about the escape, many of them wordplays on Admiral Limon's name. One joke had President Pompidou walking into a cafe and telling the waiter, "I'll have coffee without mocha, and my wife will have tea without Limon." The boats had made it home. The operation was complete. The French embargo remained technically intact, but Israel had recovered $40 million worth of strategic assets through what could only be described as bureaucratic judo, using France's own legal processes and institutional assumptions against itself.
And that was the Mossad. Back in a minute.
Nothing worth doing ever came easy. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Never, ever quit. Never quit. Adversity makes you stronger. Don't give in, don't back down, and never stop doing what you know is right. They want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedoms. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you, and I just happen to be standing in their way.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him.
President Trump is back in a New York City court.
When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison.
Raided by the FBI.
When that didn't work, they even tried to kill him.
He just tried to kill President Trump.
Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again.
This is Donald Trump's house, brother.
This election, we all get to choose. I'm going to choose real American leadership and a real American values. The 45th and soon to be 47th President Donald J. Trump.
Defeat inflation quickly, and we will make America affordable again. I will cut your energy costs in half. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break. We are going to bring back the American dream, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. When I'm back in the White House, we will restore world peace, and it will be again peace through strength. I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. I will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country. November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come. Together, we will make America great again.
America is a land of heroes, a place where greatness is born, where destinies are forged and where legends come to life. This is the home of Thomas Edison and Teddy Roosevelt, of many great generals including Washington, Pershing, Patton, and MacArthur. This is the home of Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Amelia Earhart, Harriet Tubman, the Wright brothers, Neil Armstrong, and so many more. This is the country where children learn names like Wyatt Earp, Davy Crockett, and Annie Oakley. This is the place where the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth and where Texas patriots made their last stand at the Alamo. The American nation was carved out of the vast frontier by the toughest, strongest, fiercest, and most determined men and women ever to walk on the face of the earth. Our ancestors braved the unknown, tamed the wilderness, settled the Wild West, lifted millions from poverty, disease, and hunger, vanquished tyranny and fascism, ushered the world to new heights of science and medicine, laid down the railroads, dug out the canals, raised up the skyscrapers. Our ancestors built the most exceptional republic ever to exist in all of human history, and we are making it greater than ever before. This is our glorious and magnificent inheritance. We are Americans. We are pioneers. We are the pathfinders. We settled the new world. We built the modern world, and we changed history forever by embracing the eternal truth that everyone is made equal by the hand of Almighty God. America is the place where anything can happen. America is the place where anyone can rise. And here, on this land, on this soil, on this continent, the most incredible dreams come true. This nation is our canvas, and this country is our masterpiece. We look at tomorrow and see unlimited frontiers just waiting to be explored. Our brightest discoveries are not yet known. Our most thrilling stories are not yet told. Our grandest journeys are not yet made. The American age, the American epic, the American adventure has only just begun. Our spirit is still young. The sun is still rising. God's grace is still shining. And my fellow Americans, the best is yet to come. This is a movement like we've never seen in the history of our country.
Wisconsin is Trump country.
And that's what this fight is all about. We're taking on the failed political establishment and restoring government of, by, and for the people. It's the people. You're the people. You won the election.
We love this country. We love Donald Trump.
Promises made, promises kept. We support President Trump.
This is epic.
Donald Trump is our president! With every last ounce of heart and hope and sweat and soul, we are going to make our stand. We are going to stand for liberty. We are going to stand for justice. We are going to stand for freedom. And we are going to stand for the sacred rights given to us by the hand of Almighty God. You joined our movement, the
greatest movement in the history of our country. You protected your family. You defended your dignity. You recaptured your destiny. And you took back your country with that great election 2.5 years ago. We are one united movement, one united people, and one United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
You have always been loyal to this nation. Now you finally have a president who is loyal to you. Every day between now and November 2020, we are going to keep on working, we are going to keep on fighting, and we are going to keep on winning, winning, winning. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you. If I give you one message to hold in your hearts today, it's this. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. You must keep pushing forward. Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. In America, we don't worship government, we worship God. My administration will always support and defend your religious liberty. There is nothing that we cannot do. There is absolutely nothing we cannot match. There is no challenge that you will let us down. You will never let us down. The people of Ohio will never let us down. This towering American spirit has prevailed over every challenge and lifted us to the summit of human endeavor. At no time before have voters faced a clearer choice between two parties, two visions, two philosophies, or two agendas. This election will decide whether we save the American dream or whether we allow a socialist agenda to demolish our cherished destiny. Your vote will decide whether we protect law-abiding Americans or whether we give free rein to violent anarchists, agitators, and criminals who threaten our citizens. And this election will decide whether we will defend the American way of life or whether we will allow a radical movement to completely dismantle and destroy it. Our radical Democrat opponents are driven by hatred, prejudice, and rage. They want to destroy you, and they want to destroy our country as we know it. I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
4 years ago, we took a wrong turn and lost our purpose. We lost the strength that makes Americans who we are. If we dared to speak the truth, it was called hate speech, and our values were labeled shameful. That's when everything we care about fell apart. We surrendered our borders, our paychecks, and our courage. Our patriotism was called toxic. Men could beat up women and win medals, but there was no prize for the guy who got up every day to do his job. Now we're being asked to settle for the way things are. And we're wondering if America can make a comeback. We can, because we've done it before. When we get knocked down, we don't stay down. We get up again. We fight. We fight. We fight.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing.
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
People dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you're not neutral and that the government has no rights.